What up, Chicken Nuggets? Dr. Tyler Tarver here, and we're talking about sports cards are dope because that's the name of the podcast. And in this episode, I want to talk about how we can help the sports card hobby getting younger, helping them kids. So here we go. There's a couple stats I want to throw at you, and I should have looked up the easy ones that I could verify were that in 2021, which is kind of the big ramp up, 46% of the attendees were first-time attendees at the National. So you're talking about almost half of the people that came to the 2021 National were first-time attendees. Now, of that, you're also seeing the average age of people attending 20 years younger than 2019. So in 2 years, from 2019 to 2021, the average age of an attendee dropped 20 years. Now, here's the thing. My observation, I love yours in the comments. My observation is you saw, like I feel like kids, like traditionally boys, up until around 14 or 15, that's when they collect cards. You know, when they start playing t-ball, baseball, 6, 7, 8, up until 13 or 14. I don't have an official stat on that, but that's kind of the trend I see. Then you see a lot of guys that have maybe been in it since they were adults in the 90s. So maybe they were in their 40s in like the 80s and 90s when it was getting popular, and they kind of stayed in it. Now, with that, I think the big jump came a lot from millennials. I think that in millennials was the big push. Those 30s and 40s, guys in their 30s and 40s, maybe they missed that gap. They were really into it in the 80s and 90s. They're collecting just like they had the Beanie Babies. They had all these things that were going to be worth money someday, and then everything dropped in the 90s. Everything. The bottom dropped out of it. Nothing was worth anything. And it's like it was this, whether they aged out or it was the junk wax era coming to a crashing halt, a lot of people quit, myself included, quit collecting. Me personally, it's just, as I got a little older, I started collecting. I didn't really have a focus. I was just going quantity. And so it's like I didn't have that clean focus that I have now. Clean focus. You're like, Tyler, you buy a lot of just random stuff. I'm like, yeah, because if it looks dope, I might buy it. So like I say that I have focus. I have a little better focus than I did. When I was a kid, I was just buying like every $88 so I could get my hands on. And so I have a little more focus and a little more money to be able to buy that stuff. I'm at a place in my life where I can purchase cards and have a card budget, and it's not an issue. Whereas like in my 20s, my wife stayed home with the kids when they were born. I was just grinding 2 or 3 jobs just to be able to make money so that we could, she could stay at home and we wouldn't get confiscated by the IRS. I don't really know how all that works, but actually I hope I don't ever find out how that works. But like I think that people in their 30s and 40s that were into it in the 80s and 90s, I think a few years ago, whenever it got popular again, it's like we were reminded of something that we used to love, that nostalgia hit. And I think we're a very nostalgic culture now. And I'm seeing a bigger push into collectibles, not just cards, but video games, vintage movies, like the 90s clothing is back. It's like we're seeing a huge trend in that. And so I have a few tips on how we can help young people stay in it past 13 or 14 years old. And I think number one is help them feel comfortable in the hobby. And by that, I mean, don't try to make your margins off of their inexperience or their lack of knowledge. If they come to you with a card that's $20, and I'm not saying I've never done this, I've never purposely done this to a kid, but if we can be more aware, and I think honestly the best way I've found is, because you're going to make mistakes, you might charge a kid a little too much, or you might make a trade that's not good. And I say this every time a kid makes a trade with me, unless I forget, when they're at my table, they make a trade or they make a purchase, I say, hey man, thanks again for the trade. We shake their hand, look them in the eye, say, hey, if you change your mind or you have guilt about it, you want to trade back, if I got the card, I'll trade you back. Just come see me. And I've done it a few times. Kids have come back and be like, hey, I found a comp that was way lower on this card. And I'm like, dope, here's your card back, or here's your money back. Like, let them feel comfortable making mistakes without having to eat $100 or be stuck with a card that reminds them. We've all been stuck with a card from a bad deal that when we look at it, like makes us sick at our stomach. Like I bought a Shaq Netrageous. It was like, they don't pop up very often. I bought it in just like a suitcase of cards for like $200, like right down the road for my kids to go to school. Went in a subdivision and bought them. And then I sold it at a show. I didn't really want to sell it, but then I started collecting Shaq after, and like I regretted the sale. Every time I drove by that road, I was reminded of that purchase. Hey, what's up, dude? It's Austin. What's up, Austin? And so I'm waiting on my kid to get out. If you're watching the video on YouTube, I'm waiting on my kid. He had basketball tryouts, and so I'm waiting on him. And so I'm in the car. I thought I'd record this. The grind never stops, you guys. Got to get the podcast out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If you're listening to audio, you have no context for why I just stopped and said hi to somebody named Austin. And so let them feel comfortable. Give them an out if they change their mind at the same show. I'm not saying like 6 months later they can come to you and be like, hey, this card dropped since you traded it. I'm saying at that show, in that time frame, give them the comfort of being like, hey, man, I'll let you have your card back. Another one is, and I want to say we make cards accessible. That's not really up to us. I think that's more like Fanatics and the companies that are making the cards. Yes, higher end stuff, those $10,000 boxes. I'm not even buying those $10,000 boxes. That's not for the kids. Like if those are sold out, it's not for the kids. Like those cards are for those people that want to take that risk. But make those lower end products so that those kids can go out and buy those products. Okay, so those are my tips. I'm going to end because my kid's coming in. I want to talk to him. In the comments, let me know. We might make this a longer episode, but let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, or not. It's up to you. Follow your heart. Be good, stay kind, and never stop collecting. Sports cards are dope. So are you. What's up, Titus?